Schools which are largely located within the inner city not become segregated?
Okay. I think by visiting the schools, and as far as enrollment, requirements that the school sets forth, monitoring them would be how I would handle that.
Okay. Can you repeat it for the?
How would you ensure that the charter schools, which are largely located within the inner city, do not become segregated?
Joe Jordan Robinson. First of all, I wouldn't let them fail like we just had a failure out there in the academy, at our Jones Academy. That was a disaster. The other way is that you really can't control that unless you have a choice and you give an opportunity for students to change the location, because right now the problem is systemic because people are staying in segregated neighborhoods because of the economy. So until we can change the way neighborhoods are together, you're going to have that draw for segregation. My role is to make sure that whether it's segregated or not, students learn. So I'm about letting students learn. But charter schools felt like we had out there at the academy, Bible-based Art Jones Academy, it's supposed to be science and math. That is inexcusable. And as a board member, I would stop that before it ever got started.
All right now.
Terry Kemple, School Board District 7. Actually, I think that there's a lot of that occurs right now, and I think that Carl's thought of being more careful to monitor is a good way to do what we can do to make sure that it doesn't occur. I think that it's important that we do all that we can do to make sure that every student has the same opportunity to learn. And one of the ways to ensure that is to do all that we can do, whether it's through policy or through oversight, individual oversight, to make sure that we don't fall into that trap where the students are segregated into different, not just different classes, but different levels of classes.
Mr. Robinson. Okay, preparing students for America's jobs of the future is a national priority. What would you do in Hillsborough County School District to increase and improve student access to computers and other classroom technology?
What I would do is, the first thing is, one of the reasons you have this disparity is because of the leadership we have in the school district from the superintendent. The superintendent's contract needs to be modified. All of the issues in the black community, the graduation rates, the use of computers, the availability of everything falls with the superintendent. Once the superintendent's contract is put in there, you must have computers for all African American and socioeconomic students, it'll happen. You put in there that all students' graduation rate need to go up, it will happen. It's not happening now because it's not in the contract. IBM has went up, but there haven't been anybody charging her for graduating those people. So everything in her contract, she does. Anything in her contract, she doesn't. And her contract is from 2005. And I'm an engineer. Right across the street at Milton, one of the first things I do is want to put a national side of black engineers, SNESB Junior chapter that I've been trying to get them to do for the last 10 years.
I think that one of the key things that we can do to ensure that there's, and I'll address this prior question and this one, to ensure that education is fairly distributed to all students, is to get parents more involved in the process. I walked and I've knocked on the doors of thousands of homes, and I've not had one person say that they didn't want to have their student get a good education, but I've talked with a lot of parents who didn't know how or had difficulty trying to break through the walls of bureaucracy that keep parents from being engaged in their students' education and their students' activities in school. So I do outreach into the community to help people know better how to break through those walls of bureaucracy. I'd also do things within the staff and within the school district itself to try and break them down so that it's easier for people to get engaged and to get involved.
As far as the work with the computers goes, I believe that give credit where credit's due. The current school board's doing a pretty good job of that. You hear about, I believe it's right across the street here in Middleton, their robotics program is nationally recognized. The students are doing a great job there. What's going on with vocational training? You know, not everybody's cut out to be a computer scientist. So I believe strongly in incorporating work with our local labor unions, our trade unions to help out our young students as far as the trades go.
Okay. Part of the mission of Hillsborough County Public Schools is to provide an education that enables each student to excel as a successful and responsible citizen. In the next 4 years, how will you ensure that this mission will be carried out efficiently and effectively?
Well, my campaign is based on 4 things. I'm an advocate for parents' rights to make decisions about significant things that go on, from educational priorities and practices. And then it's ABC. A is active accountability, and everybody in the process needs to be accountable. The school board needs to be accountable, staff needs to be accountable, teachers do need to be accountable, parents need to be accountable, students need to be accountable, and the community needs to be accountable. We need budget transparency so that people know how the money is being spent, so that if there's a question about whether or not there should be computers in one school or computers in another school, be able to clearly see that. That's not available right now. And the other is community collaboration. There's a Kiwanis Club near where I live. I went to their meeting and they're doing a Stuff the Bus, which is to bring supplies for students to stuff a bus, and they will literally do that and then distribute it in schools. There are Kiwanis clubs and other kinds of service clubs all around the community that we could reach out to do that same kind of thing.
Would you kindly repeat the question? I want to make sure I'm right up here.
Yes, sir. Part of the mission of Hillsborough County Public Schools is to provide an education that enables each student to excel as a successful and responsible citizen. In the next 4 years, how will you ensure that this mission will be carried out efficiently and effectively?
The first thing I want to do is make a change in the annual student forum that's held by the school board. That's where they bring in students from all over the county. They have them ask questions. They go around 2-3 times to ask questions. Yeah, and the students are believing, hey, something's going to be done about this. Well, lo and behold, I got with a student about that, and they don't feel that way at all. Their questions don't get answered. The issues don't get addressed. So what happens? They don't believe in the system. So we have to give the students the faith to believe in the system, and that's our role. That's our role as leaders on the school board.
Part of the mission of Hillsborough County Public Schools is to provide an education that enables each student to excel as a successful and responsible citizen. In the next 4 years, how will you ensure that this mission will be carried out efficiently and effectively?
The first thing I was doing is I've got to get elected to office. That's the first thing I got to do to make sure the mission changes. The second thing is that we need to tell the truth. We need to tell the truth about how African American and Latinos are reading at 20 and 30% in the 3rd grade, and in the 10th grade they're reading at 7, 14%. We need to say how African American and Latinos are taking math and doing 25 and 30%, and when they get to 10th grade it's 19 and 34%. We need to start looking at the disciplinary rate of African American and Latino children, okay? Because until you take care of that, and until you start putting out real numbers instead of these numbers that the superintendent puts out to the public, everybody thinks everything's fine. Everybody thinks everybody's doing fine. But when you walk across the street, I see helicopters, fights going on, 250 people out there fighting. I want 250 engineers over there studying and getting homework and getting computer millers, more computer, more money. We got plenty of money in the district. We got... Thank you.
Captain Carl, this is a question from the audience. Will you, if elected, allow community activists into the middle school, high schools to assist in mentoring process of minority students?
Are we talking about the guest speaker policy here, or as...
I'm thinking they're alluding to serve, yes.
Okay. My belief on that is that the school board has its leadership responsibility to set guidelines. I don't believe that any individual who is or is linked to a terrorist organization belongs in our schools. There's good guys in the world, and there's bad guys in the world, and terrorists are bad guys. And that's my statement.
Mr. Robinson, repeat that again.
Will you, if elected, allow community activists into the middle and high schools to assist in the mentoring process of minority students?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We need more than that. We need to have the National Society of Black Engineers there. We need to have the NAACP there. We need to have anybody that wants to help. My opposition would tell you they're on a campaign to not let terrorists in, but having been an FBI informant, I know what a terrorist is. I know that in 1996, in the Atlanta bombing, there was a girl killed, Alice Hawthorne. That was my first cousin. Okay, so I know about terrorism and bombing since 1996. And we found that terrorist. And he wasn't from overseas, he was from America. He was domesticized terrorist. Is that 30 seconds or what that means?
30 seconds.
And in the last minute, a lot of terrorism is not necessarily from overseas. And when people are just caught unindicted co-conspirators, the FBI don't even recognize that. We recognize when you get convicted, when you put on the list of being a terrorist.
I know that's.
You know, the school board or the school district, the only people who have have to be allowed into the classroom are the students and the school staff and teachers. I think that mentoring is a great thing. I think that there needs to be discernment as to who is allowed into the classroom. I'm with Captain Carl. I will say that I don't think that anyone who is a member or representative of an organization that has been linked to terrorism in a federal trial or in an FBI investigation should be allowed into the classroom to teach our students. I don't think it's the right thing. I don't think that anyone with a political agenda should be in the classroom to teach our students, whether it's somebody from the Council on American and Islamic Relations or someone from the Republican Party or someone from the Democratic Party. If they are there with a political agenda in mind, then I don't think that they should be in the classroom with our students.
Let's take one more question from the audience.
There seems to be a disconnect between administration and the teachers. What will you do about principals who bully older staff or their teachers to get them to either quit, retire, or to get them in a position where they have to stay where they are and to be bullied?
Mr. Robinson, I think you're up first.
That's called coercion. Okay? That's called coercion. What's happened is we have a bully to begin with called the superintendent. Okay? And until we have that bully under control, we're not going to be able to make the bully stop bullying because it's a downhill effect. Half of the teachers are scared to speak up. They are scared to tell the truth. They are scared to give great ideas. Why? Because at the top of the head of that snake, there are believing that if you do anything, if you say anything, why? Because the superintendent does what? She controls who gets hired, she controls the money, she controls what gets on the agenda, she controls the qualifications of who gets promoted and who gets demoted and who gets fired. Until you take that bully out, which I plan to do real professionally by reviewing her contract, that's the way you do it. And I want everybody in here to take a look at it and let's come up with some ideas on how we can stop this bully from bullying our children and having to bully teachers too.
There's a program in place right now. There's a grant that's been issued to help principals become more effective at their jobs. And I think the way, just as in any type of work, if you have people who are not doing the job the way that they're supposed to be doing the job, or they're not doing it effectively, or they're making it difficult for other people to do their job, then they either need to be offered some remedial training or they need to go. So I think that part of what we're doing and part of what we can do is to continue these programs to help the principals become more effective at what they do. Okay, and again, as I'll say, as I've walked and knocked on doors and talked with people in the community, and that's all over Hillsborough County, it's a big county. As I've done that, I've had a lot of people who have said to me that the problem in their school, in their child's school, with their child's education was discipline. I've also had many people tell me that discipline is not a problem if the principal is effective, but discipline is a problem if the principal is not effective. So what we need to do is make the principals as effective as we can.
Since we're standing up here. Follow your lead. Okay, so, one of the areas of leadership that I plan to bring to the school board is in that area, bullying. The program is called NBA, No Bullying Allowed. Now that's bullying at the school board level, administrative level, teacher level, student level. No bullying allowed. How am I going to do anything about it? I'm going to be out in the schools, and I'm not going to need an invitation to go to the schools either. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I know a little bit something about bullies, how to deal with them. So I know if it takes one-on-one contact, well, so be it.
All right.